Welcome back to another episode of Wyrd Wessex, the show described by one listener as introverted self-entertainment. I'm Andy.
And I'm Craig.
And what are we talking about today, Craig?
Today we're delving into the chilling tale of Dear David, a 2017 Twitter phenomenon that sent shivers down the spines of users worldwide. A web cartoonist named Adam Ellis documented his terrifying encounters with a malevolent ghost through a series of unsettling tweets. It all began with a seemingly innocuous... Fucking hell. It all began with a seemingly innocuous tweet. So my apartment is currently being haunted by the ghost of a dead child, and he's trying to kill me.
But things soon escalated. Adam began experiencing a series of unsettling events. He'd wake up to find himself paralysed by sleep, the figure of a child sitting in the green rocking chair at the foot of his bed. The child's head was grotesquely misshapen, dented on one side. Adam was shaken to the core. He did his best to capture the image in a drawing.
Right, Andy, I'll show you a picture. So there's a picture.
Jesus.
Imagine waking up to that staring at you.
That's nasty. I mean, it's got that cartoony quality that sort of softens the blow a little bit, but fuck me.
Yeah.
Grim. For a while, the figure simply stared at him. Then, slowly, it began to shamble towards the bed. Adam, paralysed with fear, could only watch in horror as the figure drew closer. Right before the figure reached the bed, Adam woke up screaming. He'd experienced sleep paralysis before, so he sort of shrugged it off.
A few nights later, Adam experienced another unsettling encounter. In a dream, he found himself in a library when a young girl approached him.
"You've seen Dear David, haven't you?"
She whispered.
Who? Adam replied, absolutely bewildered.
"Dear David,
The girl insisted.
you saw him.
The girl continued.
He's dead. He only appears at midnight, and you can ask him 2 questions if you say, 'Dear David' first. But never try to ask him a 3rd question, or he'll kill you."
This dream added a new dimension to the story, a sense that perhaps Adam wasn't alone in his encounters.
A few nights later, Adam experienced another unsettling encounter. He dreamt he was in bed, with the figure of the child once again sitting in the rocking chair, staring intently. In the dream, Adam found himself inexplicably drawn to speak.
"Dear David,"
he whispered.
"how did you die?"
And David mumbles.
"An accident in a store."
Adam, driven by morbid curiosity, pressed further.
"Dear David,
He whispered again.
what happened in the store?"
And the child groaned.
"A shelf was pushed on my head."
Frozen with fear, Adam asked,
"Who pushed the shelf?"
but David doesn't answer. Adam then felt a wave of fear wash over him. He realised with a jolt he had broken that important rule. He had asked the 3rd question. He felt himself paralysed with terror. He tried to speak, to apologise, but no sound would come out. Then he woke up, terrified.
One issue, not to pick holes with this story, but the 3rd time he doesn't say Dear David first. He just asked the question, and he's told if you ask Dear David 3 times, which he doesn't technically, do it the 3rd time. But is that picking holes?
I don't know. So like Simon Says rules or what, you know? That's...
Yes, it is.
There you go. All right then. So maybe it's fine. Get him on that technicality.
So naturally, Adam was shaken by the dream. He spent the next few days scouring local records, desperately trying to find any information about a child named David who had died in a store. He even tried searching for similar names, Daniel, Dylan, Devon, but found nothing.
Did he find anything like at all?
Nope. His search turned up empty, and a few weeks passed without further incident. And then an unexpected opportunity arose. The apartment above his was vacated, and Adam was thrilled to have the chance to move into a larger space. Another month or 2 passed, and Adam began to cautiously hope that the haunting was over. He'd moved into the apartment above his previous one, and the unsettling encounters seemed to have subsided. And then a strange pattern emerged. For several nights running, Adam's cats had gathered at the front door at exactly midnight, staring intently at it as if something was on the other side.
That's not unsettling at all. One night, Adam couldn't shake off the feeling that something was wrong. He cautiously peered through the peephole and was convinced he saw movement on the other side of the door. Hesitantly, he opened the door and switched on the hallway light. Nothing. But his cats seem unnerved still, their tails bristling with fear. Adam tweeted, "And that's where I am right now. Dear David found me, I think. I don't know what to do. I'll keep you updated."
For the 6th consecutive night, Adam's cats gathered at the front door at precisely midnight, staring intently at it as if something was on the other side. Adam, feeling a wave of unease wash over him, decided to take a photo through the peephole.
Did he see anything?
He couldn't be sure, but he tweeted,
"Okay, so I took a photo through the peephole because I'm too scared to open the door. I feel like I saw something."
First of all, that is like the most millennial response to a haunting I've ever heard. It's like, oh no, guys, lols, ghost got me now. Woo, ghost emoji, sweating emoji. But yeah, what happened then?
well, he mustered the courage to open the door, but nothing was there. And he took another photo.
Was there anything in that photo?
Well, he tweeted, "Is it just me, or is there something in the first photo right where the banister meets the shelves hiding on the stairs?" So I'll show you the photo. This is a great audio podcast, right?
Yeah. We can describe it to you. Yeah, there is sort of a kind of a
shadow
sort of light. For all you people that are listening to the podcast rather than watching the video, Craig's sending me pictures of him in the shower. Yeah, it kind of looks so. It's a photo through the peephole, and it kind of looks like there is sort of that blur of light there. But that could be a dirty lens. That could be dirt on the peephole glass itself. You know, it could be a lot of things.
Have you got a dirty peephole, Andy?
I'll keep mine clean.
All right, and then there's the one of the stairs themselves.
Okay.
Which I don't see anything there. So that's supposedly when he opens the door and he says, "Is there something on the stairs?" But not seeing anything.
Can't see anything there.
I also wonder why it says departures and parking on his wall, supposedly in a block of flats.
Yeah, that is weird. But I mean, there is also shelves there with like shoes in there, though you don't find those in. That's really weird.
Yeah, so we're not judging Adam, but we are.
It's like an underground apartment of flats, I don't know, or maybe into the side of something.
I'm assuming he's into like signs. You know, people like students steal signs, right? And it's probably something like that. So yeah, he deadbolts the lock and gets into bed, but the lingering fear kept him awake, and he could still hear the cats meowing at the door.
He tried to relax, but his mind was still racing. He decided to try using Sleep Talk app to see if anything unusual was happening while he slept. This guy is terminally online.
This is over a period of months, Andy. I didn't put dates on it, but...
Well, the next morning, he reviewed the recordings. The app had captured 33 separate sounds throughout the night. Most were mundane, passing cars, distant sirens, but there were some recordings that piqued his interest. First, there was a snapping sound, followed by what seemed to be a single, deliberate step. It was odd because Adam hadn't gotten out of bed all night.
Right, so now
you've got a recording for me of this, haven't you?
Oh, yes.
See, I find audio a lot more unsettling.
Okay, let's try this. It's not very long, so let's see if you can hear this.
Houses do make weird noises.
Yeah. So there are other two sounds that he thought were significant. I'll show you whilst I'm doing the whole share thing. Okay, so we have this, which he said sounds like some kind of static.
Yep. Yeah.
To me, that sounds like there could be a problem with his device, like he's not recording properly.
Absolutely, yep.
Yeah, and then the last one would be...
That sounds to me like he's made that himself in his sleep.
Yeah, probably.
But, you know, if not, that is pretty creepy, because that definitely does sound like a groan. And the snap, again, it is weird, but houses... You know, there's so many things. Like I've had rats in my walls before, and it's funny. I was chatting to a rat catcher about this. Once you've had rats, every bloody sound you hear, you think, "Shit, is that rats?"
Yeah.
But they do have sounds like, sometimes there's a bit of a build-up of water in a tap and it will just come out in a big splosh. Sometimes a pipe will just twist slightly from the cold, and it does have some weird noises.
So yeah, Adam decides to take action, and under the recommendation of a friend, he decides to sage the apartment.
Ah, smudging. Does it work?
Yeah, for months, David doesn't make an appearance, but then one night, Adam has a disturbing dream. His bedroom is filled with a hazy smoke, and he could see David sitting on the chair across the room.
What, just like he was before, with all the same sort of size and everything?
No.
And the dent? No?
No, he was smaller this time, almost shrunken. He didn't do or say anything except look at Adam, and he says it felt like a bad omen.
Ooh. Well, Adam began to notice other strange occurrences now. Every night at 3 a.m., his sleep recording app would pick up on a peculiar static electricity sound. Now, this lasted for about 5 minutes. Then one morning, Adam woke up to the whole house shaking. It felt like a small earthquake, he tweeted. I debated even mentioning on that on Twitter because it sounds made up, but I distinctly felt the house swaying. At this point, everyone is telling him to move out, but Adam isn't sure that it will solve the problem. I don't have any guarantee this won't follow me, he tweeted. Just to add here, do you reckon it's the departures upstairs that are making the house shake?
Would be quite noisy. So while all the ghost stuff had been quite spooky, things escalated when something happened that made Adam feel unsafe in his own home.
What was that?
Well, he fell asleep pretty early. He was incredibly tired for some reason, and he had a dream that night where David was dragging him by the arm through an old abandoned warehouse.
A shrunken baby with a dented head dragging it. That sounds terrifying.
Yeah, so Adam wasn't sure why he didn't fight back in the dream or how David was strong enough to pull him, but that's dream logic for you, he tweets. It was a creepy dream, but he didn't think much of it. When he woke up, he took a shower, and then he noticed something.
What did he notice?
He'd woken up with a huge bruise on his arm.
A bruise? Damn.
Yeah, he tweeted,
There could be a totally logical explanation for it, so I brushed it off.
again, I can show you a photo if you like.
Yeah, go for it. That's a fairly hefty. That one by his wrist. That's fairly big. It's not exactly baby handprint size, but I don't know. That is pretty.
Yeah,
that's pretty. I mean, I've mentioned this before with I mentioned it. I think with the episode we were talking about dreams, I might have done or not. I don't know actually, but I basically I had a spate where I was having some really nasty, horrific dreams, like very violent, very apocalyptic. I remember one of them, something was grabbing me by the face and squeezing, and I woke up and my whole jaw was like aching. But I just assumed that was because I was clenching my teeth during that bit of the dream. But
I thought you were like, I woke up and it's like, Becky, get off!
Yeah, that's it. It was all the snoring, you see.
So yeah, Adam went about the weekend routine as usual. He went and grabbed some coffee, and on his way he passed by the food cart repair depot. I don't know what that is exactly, but that's what he calls it. The food cart repair depot. It's a place that he'd seen bustling with activity every weekend for the past 4 years.
So yeah, what happens?
Well, that day it was completely abandoned and the whole warehouse was totally gutted and empty.
Oof.
He was astonished. So he decided to investigate, stepping inside the empty warehouse. I don't really know why he does this, to be honest, but anyway.
Did he find anything in there?
Yes, he found out he was part of a horror franchise. No, wait.
I mean, to make that decision, that is naturally my first decision. Like, big, spooky, empty place, and I'm having some terrifying dreams and a haunting possibly. I'm going to go in that place there. It's
Yes.
like, that's like running along and falling over when the villain's chasing you, But then,
Running up the stairs.
realistically, if we saw a place like that with that going on, we have a duty to our listeners to go in there. So, I shouldn't say
Wait.
that.
Yeah, he has a duty to Twitter.
Exactly.
Yeah, so he decided to investigate and he went inside the warehouse.
And what did you find?
Well, the only thing in the entire warehouse was a single green chair.
A green chair.
Yeah, if you recall, Adam's first encounter with the ghost was in a green rocking chair. Could be nothing, of course, but it is a strange coincidence.
Mm.
So Adam continues to document the strange occurrences in his apartment.
So what happened next?
Well, his next tweet says,
There have been a few small developments in my apartment, but I'm not really sure what to make of them. I just know I'm scared.
Naturally. So did you go into these developments?
he notices changes in his cat's behaviour. He says,
If you recall, my cats usually gather at the door at midnight, but lately it's been getting earlier and earlier every night. I was almost used to routine, so when they started to cry at the door closer to 10 p.m, I was confused. They began a new routine, come around the door at 10 p.m, cry for about 15 minutes, and then wander off as if nothing's wrong.
Ooh, that is weird. That is unsettling. It's if they're anticipating something and it's sort of getting closer and closer, you know? That week, something else began to happen. Shortly after the usual cat commotion, around 10:30 p.m, Adam started receiving phone calls from an unmarked number. He described the calls as unsettling. What I heard on the other end was peculiar electrical static sound, very similar to the static in my sleep app picks up every night, he tweeted. After about a minute, the static stopped and there was silence. Adam listened intently, his heart racing. He thought he heard a faint breathing sound, but he couldn't be sure. Then, just as he was about to hang up, he heard a very small voice whisper, "Hello." Adam panicked and hung up immediately.
Is it me you're looking for?
I was kind of like the back of my brain. I'm like, he's gonna do it. He's gonna do it. Way to kill the mood.
Sorry, yeah. Back to creepy. Do that line again.
Then, just as he was about to hang up, he heard a very small voice whisper, "Hello." Adam panicked and hung up the fuck's sake. He threw the phone out of the window, drop kicked it, and burned the place down.
Craig's house.
And belted him
Touched
over
him
the
in the
head
nuts.
with a green rocking chair.
Go on, Andy. What happens? Go on.
He panicked and hung up immediately. He did not know what else to do. He closed all the curtains in his apartment and turned on every single light. He watched TV right up until dawn, too scared to go to sleep. I sort of feel like I'm losing my mind, he tweeted.
So, after 3 weeks of these unsettling events, Adam was understandably shaken. He was planning a trip to Japan in a few weeks and decided to set up a pet camera to keep an eye on the cats while he was away. He set it up for a test run, and that's when he witnessed something really normal. Actually, it was just normal, Andy, and that's the end of the story.
Excellent, good. I'm so happy Adam was all right. I've got a feeling you're fibbing. What is it? Well, you've got a video, haven't you?
It's creepy.
All right, let's do some creepy.
Look at that. Are you terrified yet? Is it creepy?
That is, I mean, you know what? On one hand, it's just a rocking chair, but two, with all that going on, that's pretty fucking creepy. That is pretty damn creepy.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably fairly easy to fake.
It is very easy to fake, I think.
Yeah, bit of string.
Yeah, bit of string. Yeah, absolutely.
He's behind that couch.
Yep.
But if he didn't fake it, and if it is real, for the sakes of spooky entertainment, that's creepy.
Yeah, and I mean, there is a lot of haunted house-like footage that has got, like, people, you know, sort of you see chairs rocking. And I mean, certain things can set them off, you know, but, like, yeah, it is a bit creepy.
That looked quite deliberate, though, so it's not like...
Yeah, it did. It wasn't like a... Yeah.
But yeah, he continues to leave the camera running 24/7, documenting every movement and sound within his apartment.
So, with all this creepy stuff happening, was he still having the nightmares?
Yep. His nightmares actually became more intense. He describes them as being more intense than his usual dreams. He says he doesn't know if it's because he's stressed or is it something else.
So what kind of nightmares were these?
You sound like a shrink.
So tell me about your thoughts. Yeah, what sort of nightmares were these?
So in one particularly terrifying dream, Adam was lying in bed when he rolled over to face the other direction, and on the pillow next to him was a severed head with a bloody spine attached, snaking down the bed.
Bloody hell. That's horrible. I mean, dented baby head's pretty horrible as well, but then just, ugh.
So the head was staring right at him, somehow still alive, and it had a huge smile plastered on its face.
Oh, no. That is getting, yeah, that is getting more and more disturbing.
And then the head groaned. It feels great. For Adam woke in a cold sweat.
I don't know, there's lots of different voices you could have gone with that, sort of, it feels great, or, sort of, oh, it feels great. There's lots, each of them would have been messed up, but,
What was
maybe,
wrong with what I did?
no, I'm just saying, like, I can imagine a host of different voices with that head. Adam finally headed off on his trip to Japan, leaving the pet camera running for extra reassurance, and for a while, things were normal. However, upon his return, strange things began to happen. Light bulbs would inexplicably blow, and then one night, while grabbing a beer from the fridge, he noticed his cat staring intently out of the window at the roof of the businesses next door. Then he saw it. Someone was standing on the roof, staring directly at him.
So next, Adam tweets that he's had another dream about the figure. It was almost exactly the same as the first time that he saw it.
So what happened?
He describes seeing the figure in a chair again, but this time it wasn't the green chair, it was a recliner that he'd had for years.
And then?
He tweets that the figure was staring right at him, just as before. He felt paralyzed and could barely move, but this time something was different. He still felt mostly immobile, but he could squirm just a little bit. He felt more alert and could move his hands somewhat. Adam dreaded what he knew was coming. The figure was going to get out of the chair and come towards him like before.
Oof.
He realised he had to do something. He kept his phone next to him on the bed, and he somehow managed to get hold of it. I thought, if David's going to kill me, maybe I can at least get some evidence on my phone, he tweeted. And he started snapping pictures in the dark. See, I would be like trying to bludgeon its head in with my phone.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Is it? So was this the figure from the other side or the figure of the baby?
Yes, the baby figure.
Just pick it up and drop kick it out the window.
Well, that's why it's got a dented face.
Yeah, that's it. It's one weakness, being drop kicked out of an apartment.
Oh no, he was squashed, wasn't he? In the.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, under the shelves.
Yeah, what happened to you? Well, I started creepily crawling towards someone whose house I'd invaded as a creepy ghost baby. And he caved my head in with a phone and dropped me out of a window. Sure enough, the figure crawled down off the chair and began shuffling towards him. It moved slowly as if it were a struggle. Terror gripped Adam, but he kept on taking photos. The figure limped closer, never taking its eyes off of him. Soon, Adam was face to face with the ghostly child. The figure started muttering something too quiet for Adam to understand. Adam watched in horror as the child's eyes rolled back in its head, completely turning white. He tried to writhe away, but he could barely move. He stared in horror as the figure began crawling up onto his bed, still murmuring. And then Adam woke. Same as before, broad daylight, no trace of the figure anywhere.
So one day, Adam heard a thump on the ceiling above him. And living on the top floor apartment with no access to the roof, he initially dismissed it as impossible. And then he remembered the small hatch in the hallway and thought, well, maybe it's a raccoon or something. He says,
I'd barely fallen asleep when I woke up to an incredibly loud crash above me. It sounded like someone had dropped a bowling ball. I bolted upright in bed and immediately felt strange. There was a weird energy all around me. I can't explain it.
The crash happened again and then again, probably 15 times in a row, followed by a long silence. And then Adam heard a smaller, creaky sound from the hallway. He registered it in his mind as a footstep, but it really could have been anything.
The next morning, as Adam headed out to get coffee, he noticed a pile of debris under the hatch. It looked like plaster or something. Curious, he used a pole to poke down at the hatch, unsure of what he hoped to achieve. Something tumbled out and landed on the stairs. He picked it up and realised what it was. A small leather shoe.
Bit like that.
Ugh.
That's the shoe.
Oof, don't like that. Adam immediately called his landlord, who investigated the matter. The landlord found nothing unusual except a small dented marble. I thought it was going to be a small dented baby.
Late one Wednesday, Adam woke with the start feeling a strange sensation, as if something had just been watching him. He turned on the light, but he was alone. Determined to find out what was happening, he downloaded an app that took a photo every 60 seconds, and he set his phone up on top of a bookcase. It was almost 7 foot tall, giving it a good view of his bed and the surrounding room. Adam went back to sleep with a sense of unease, and hours later he jolted awake feeling the same unsettling presence. He turned on the light and hurried out of bed to retrieve his phone from the bookcase. There were probably 350 photos to scroll through. The vast majority showed him sleeping in an empty room. It was dark, but you could see him sleeping. He'd left a couple of nightlights on in case anything showed up, but for the first 100 or so photos, it was just him in the empty room. But then suddenly, it was there, standing on the chair across at the foot of the bed, just staring at him.
Oh no. Don't. Oh no.
And he's never sleeping again.
Oh. I mean, if he's not playing people along, that is. Oh. That is horrible. That's.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it looks like a doll, or it does kind of look like a dented-in head. Jesus Christ. I mean, surely someone's got to have played about with that picture and, like, you know, sort of lightened it up and, you know, sort of defined it a little bit.
There's one that we're going to use later that has definitely been lightened up so you can see it better. But I don't know about those ones. I've only seen them like that.
Might be a project. Don't like that at all. In the next photo, taken a minute later, the figure seemed to be staring straight up at the ceiling. Just staring.
She's more in the middle there.
Yep. Oh, you can really see the dent.
He's getting closer.
It's close. Yeah, for anyone listening, it's closer towards his bed now. It looks dented. You can see it. It's closer. Yeah. Whew. Well, then it appeared to collapse on the chair. The next dozen photos show the same image, the figure completely lifeless. At first, Adam thought it was dead, which obviously didn't make any sense. He looked over at the chair, half expecting it to still be there, but it was empty. But then, in the next photo, it was gone. The room was totally empty again. And it remained empty in the next several photos as well. Adam figured that might be it, but then he continued to swipe through the photos. About 15 photos later, the figure was back, standing next to the bed. It was just like the last time Adam had seen it. He had to force himself to keep swiping. After that photo, there seemed to be nothing. The figure disappeared again, and the remaining photos showed only an empty room. Each picture seemed to be stretched on for an eternity, the silence broken only by Adam's ragged breaths. Adam's breath hitched as he swiped to the next photo. This one was worse. The figure was staring right at the camera, its face a grotesque mask of malice. A wave of terror washed over Adam. His heart began to race. He didn't want to look at the rest of the photos, but he knew he had to. He swiped to the next photo, and his heart sank into his stomach. The figure was on the bed, inches from him, seemingly staring down at him as he slept.
So, this is probably the creepiest of the lot.
Slight warning on this one. Oh, you can just see the side of its head, but it's definitely a...
And his ear.
Yeah, its ear's all manky. Oh, that's horrible.
Yeah. I'm just going to shut that window, although I've got to keep staring at that head.
It's not a nice thing to look at, is it? Whether you believe it or not, that is horrible.
Yeah, so he decides to take a break from his unsettling apartment and visit his hometown in Montana. He hoped a change of scenery would help him clear his head. But one night, Adam woke up needing to use the bathroom, and as he stood there in the darkness, an unsettling feeling crept over him. He couldn't shake the sensation of movement outside the window. The bathroom looked out onto the backyard, shrouded in pitch black. With limited visibility, Adam dismissed it as Montana's wildlife. And sure enough, the next morning, animal tracks crisscrossed the snow-covered ground. But the following night, a similar feeling woke Adam. He stood at the window, straining his eyes to pierce the darkness, and after a long, tense vigil, he thought he glimpsed a figure dart to the right and vanish. In the morning, a fresh discovery sent shivers down Adam's spine. As he stepped out of the shower, he noticed tracks behind the garage. Unable to discern them from the bathroom window, he ventured outside for a closer look, and his heart lurched in his chest. These weren't animal tracks, they were footprints. Very small footprints, like a child.
in its
Um,
apartment. Sorry, go on.
I've got a photo,
Oh
actually.
no.
I've got a photo.
I mean, I cannot blame him for noping out of there.
There you go. So that's the garage with the footprints going across the pathway there.
They do like little footprints. Don't look like animal tracks. They are very tiny.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. Someone, sort of, you get this sort of thing, and the initial sort of skeptic response is he could have made them, but obviously not because there's no other footprints there. You know,
Yeah, no, that's a good point. I mean,
stilts maybe. It's a lot of effort.
or like a nephew or something.
Yeah, that's it.
I mean,
Go
like,
and
look,
help.
yeah, you go and just walk that way, and I'll take a picture of it.
Uncle Adam needs to put some creepy stuff on Twitter. But no, that's yeah.
Or are they far enough away that we can't scale them? Do you know what I mean? Like, there's nothing to.
Yeah, it's very. I mean, that is classic horror film. That back in his apartment, Adam continued to be plagued by nightmares, or rather, night terrors. One night, he dreamed that David was hovering in the corner over by the ceiling, far off the ground. The figure was mouthing something, but Adam couldn't decipher any words. Suddenly, David plummeted downwards, and Adam felt a tremendous pressure crash into his head. He woke up gasping, the wind completely knocked out of him. He sat up, frantically searching the room for any sign of the intrusion, but there was nothing. Catching his breath, Adam retrieved his phone from the dresser. The photo roll showed nothing of note save for the last photo taken just a moment before.
So I'll show you the original image, which is that one.
Oh, there's a little hand. It's a
It's
blur.
hard to discern what's going on, isn't it?
Is it E.T.? Is it
Do you
little
see
gnome?
Does my cursor show on
Yeah, yeah,
this?
yeah. Where your cursor just was, is that the
So
head?
that there, so that's like, I think that's like head, arm, body,
Yeah.
and this is like the edge of his bed is here. But I do have
Oh, it looks like he's spooning him.
someone's brightened the image up.
Oh, that is. I fall on the side of skepticism, as has been noted, but bloody hell, if I caught that on a photo of me when I was sleeping, Jesus Christ, take off and nuke the site from orbit, man. Seriously,
Nope him right out of there.
that's go and move into a church or something, consecrated ground.
So yeah, Adam admits that he'd been experiencing some unsettling episodes lately. Like,
I've been sleeping fine and I have lots of energy during the day,
he explained,
but sometimes I seem to sort of lose time, I guess. Like, I'll look up at the clock and realise a whole hour has gone by,
probably recording a podcast.
and I don't remember any of it.
He recounts other strange occurrences, mishearing people only to be told he'd imagined their words, little stuff like that, he says. But after what I've been through, that's not a big deal. Despite the unnerving experiences, Adam believed he was finally putting the past behind him. He says,
I felt ready to put it all behind me.
he confessed. However, his sense of normalcy was abruptly shattered. He checked his Twitter mentions and discovered a flurry of tweets from his followers, all referring to something he'd posted to his Instagram story the previous day. They claimed to have seen something strange on the story, even though it had already expired. Adam retrieved screenshots of the story.
This is what somehow got uploaded to my Instagram story.
He said, displaying a photo,
Oh.
which he says is glitched in some way. But if you look at his face,
Yeah,
it's
it's
like
kind
there's
of
a
a bit.
face within a face.
Yeah, or like it's dented. Oh god, it's gone very Ring, All the photos of him are all like.
Yeah. But then, to be honest, things go quiet and people start tweeting him worried that, he'd gone quiet. They kind of wondered if maybe he'd been possessed, which is what that picture was. Or maybe he'd died or something. And Adam replies,
For everyone asking if I'm alive, I'm doing okay. It's been pretty quiet around here lately, and I've been trying to focus on work. Of course, I'll keep you updated if anything strange happens, but for now, I'm staying busy with drawing and other projects.
and that's it. Like, personally, I think he didn't know how to end the story, and that's why it just stops. But so far as I can tell, Ellis does maintain that the Dear David story was all real.
So, was it real? Wait, so was that all just a creepypasta?
Depends how you define creepypasta, because I called it a creepypasta to Emma earlier, and she said that is not a creepypasta. Creepypastas apparently are anonymous.
I mean, yeah, if you're gonna get technical with it, I guess, but you know,
Yeah. So his whole Twitter thread, Adam's Twitter thread, who by the way was also a former BuzzFeed writer,
mm,
was later adapted into a horror film, which was released in 2023.
I had heard of the horror film.
I've heard it's shit, but I haven't seen it. Sorry, David, if you're listening. I don't know. What do you think? Do you think it's genuine? Do you think it's just some propaganda for a film?
I've got a feeling it might be uh, a non-creepypasta creepypasta. I think it might be made up. It's very good. I like it. I love that. Um,
You're hoping it's not real because you want to sleep
yeah, I want to
again.
sleep. It's got all the elements. Shit over the like looking at you over the bed, it happening while you're asleep, weird noises. Kids, I've established, kids are creepy as hell.
Yeah,
Um,
especially when their heads are caved in.
you know what I mean? So, yeah, I don't know. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, I think it's creepypasta, but I like it. Um, Again, I mean, we've discussed this before, right? It's when does folklore and creepypasta and all that crossover?
Exactly. Should we do some weird news?
No.
All right, fair cop.
Yes. Do you want me to go?
Yeah, you go for one. I usually start with them. You give us some weird news.
Okay. So, can I do a couple of honorable mentions quickly?
Oh, go on then.
Okay. So the first one I need to share because this is just brilliant. All right. So there's a picture coming. Chicken gets her
Uh,
own high vis jacket to help her cross the road. Hey.
love it.
Yeah. All right. I had to do that one. Just like, not that weird, but it's funny. And actually, there's two related stories. So one is plate of peeled bananas appears on same street every month and no one knows why.
Oh,
Not going to go into it. That's
fair
not my
enough.
story. Another one is people stumped after tomatoes left on Dublin Bridge in bizarre trend.
Interesting.
Yeah, but again,
That's
not going
where
to
I
go
left
into
my.
it.
That's my where I left my tomatoes.
I thought I would go with a story from Sky News.
Go on then.
Woman surprised
Ah,
after being declared dead.
I nearly went with that one. I'm glad I didn't now.
Nicole Paulino discovers she is registered as deceased, saying the development really, really messes up my life. Yeah, she spoke of her anguish after being mistakenly declared dead. She's from Maryland, and she made the discovery after applying for a new driver's license. She said she was left frightened and surprised as a text informing her she was officially dead popped up on the Maryland Motor Vehicle Administration System. It then appears that I am deceased, she told NBC4 Washington. Got a little frightened, I'm not going to lie, and surprised because I'm alive, I'm here. Can you imagine, though? You'd doubt it, wouldn't you? You'd go, wait, am I?
Right.
You'd have to go and find someone and be like, am I dead?
I've always wanted to do that. Or like just run out and be like, "What year is it? It worked." But like
Um,
in some like either futuristic looking or archaic looking clothing.
She received a letter from the US Internal Revenue Service describing her as a deceased taxpayer. Health insurance for the mother of three children was cancelled, prompting a stream of medical bills and leaving her unable to get the inhaler she needed for her asthma. Yeah, so basically just really fucked her up, right?
So this one it is from the New York Post. I was enrolled in gifted classes as a child. I now believe it was a CIA training program. Adults who were enrolled in the Gifted and Talented Education Program, or GATE, decades ago as children are now questioning if they were unknowingly being covertly trained by the CIA. Anna Mills, known as Anna Mills XO23 online, helped
Oh,
renew.
Anna Mills. I
Yeah,
thought you said animals.
animals. Yeah,
I was like, why are you saying it
animals.
like
That's what I
that?
said. Animals. helped renew interest in a previously floated conspiracy theory by posting several videos on social media showing the worksheets and assignments she was given when she was young. In one TikTok clip, Mills flipped through a binder of her classwork and showed us some of the assignments she was given. The stuff I found in there, I'm like, what were you training us for? Then, as now, students across the country demonstrate high cognitive abilities and pass a series of tests are taught separate lessons which do not fall into the standard curriculum. Many of the worksheets Mills share detail with cracking codes, plotting graphs, as well as learning sign language, Morse code, and Russian. Nearly all the lessons were focused on creative problem solving. A surprising number have mentioned aliens and Russian culture. Maybe Peter did plant this. This has led to some claim that the public school program was connected to the CIA's Gateway program, which is a federal program developed in the 1980s to instruct and train people in the art of switching perceptual modes, the art of becoming more conscious of one's particular inner resources, inner abilities, and most of all, one's inner guidance. It is used to explore the limitations of human consciousness using sound, meditation, and other techniques. I mean, this sounds like it could be an episode in itself at some point, and I say that about a lot of weird news, but I reckon this one could. So yeah, she goes on to say that some of them were basic IQ tests. Many of them were more of a meditation type testing where we had to listen to a woman's voice on an audio tape with big earphones. Sound recordings typically used featured a series of non-verbal audio patterns hidden by sounds like crashing waves or wind blowing through the trees, similar to the audio entrance tests former GATE students claim to remember taking. Some former members of the programs commented on the videos, expressed suspicions as to why they struggled to maintain memories from these classes, while others suggested that their minds had been altered. Why do most of us only faintly remember any of it? Someone asked. Completely blocked that out for decades until just now. I don't remember a single thing except the building and entranceway. While theories continue to be floated and some declassified documents related to the programs have been offered as proof by internet sleuths, there is no evidence to suggest that public school GATE programs are in any way tied to the CIA. But yeah, I don't know. That does sound sus. Like, you know, gifted children, you'd think like you just go for like higher and more sort of complex problem solving, not like learn this Russian and crack these codes and like listen to this, like, you know, try and see if you can really like strain to listen to certain sounds and patterns between other sounds. That does sound like some spy shit. But yeah, there's my weird news.
We're gonna keep talking as we normally do, so there'll be an extra bit for Patreons. But yeah, I guess for everyone else.
Till next time. Stay weird.
So yeah, as we're on the bonus stuff now, wanted to talk to you about Neil Gaiman.